Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to my physics class. Our today's topic is acceleration and retardation. Previously, we have learned about speed and velocity. Velocity. There are two types of velocity: uniform velocity and non-uniform velocity. In uniform velocity, the object moves with a constant velocity. In this case, the body will not change its velocity, but in non-uniform velocity, the body will change its velocity with time. Suppose the initial velocity of a body is 15 meter per second. After 1 second, it is 15 meter per second. After 2 seconds, 15 meter per second. That is, in every second, the body moves 15 meter per second. That is, the velocity is 15 meter per second. It is always constant. This type of velocity is uniform velocity. But suppose a body is moving with velocity 15 meter per second. After 1 second, the velocity becomes 20 meter per second. Then after 3 seconds, it becomes 25 meter per second. In this case, the velocity is changing. Here 15, after 1 second 20 meter per second, then 25 meter per second. In this case, there is no change in velocity, but in this case, the velocity is changing. Therefore, this type of velocity is called uniform velocity, and this type of velocity is non-uniform velocity. When object changes its velocity, it is non-uniform velocity. When object does not change its velocity, it is uniform velocity. In uniform velocity, the object does not change its velocity, therefore there is no change in velocity, there is no acceleration or retardation. When object changes its velocity, there will have acceleration or retardation. Therefore, today we will discuss about non-uniform velocity. In uniform velocity, there is no acceleration. In case of non-uniform velocity, there will have acceleration or retardation. Uniform velocity. When an object does not change its velocity with time is called uniform velocity. In uniform velocity, the object will have no acceleration or retardation. Non-uniform velocity. When an object changes its velocity with time is called non-uniform velocity. In non-uniform velocity, the object will have acceleration or retardation. Now we will discuss about acceleration. Suppose a motorcycle was running with 20 meter per second velocity. At a time, the driver of the motorcycle pressed on the accelerator, therefore its velocity will be increased. And consider its initial velocity is initial, as the motorcycle was running with 20 meter per second velocity, that is, this is the initial velocity. Initial velocity is equal to 20 meter per second. After 1 second, its velocity v is equal to 20 meter per second. After 2 second, its velocity 30 meter per second. After 3 second, velocity v is equal to 35 meter per second. After 4 second, its velocity 40 meter per second. After 5 second, velocity v is equal to 40 meter per 45 meter per second. Here initial velocity was 20 meter per second. After 1 second 25, after 2 second 30, after 3 second 35, after 4 second 40, and after 5 second 45. Here in 1 second the increase in velocity 25 minus 25. Here after 1 second its velocity 30 minus 25, 5 meter per second, that is change in velocity in 1 second 5 meter per second. Here also change in velocity in 1 second 35 minus 30, 5 meter per second. Here change in velocity in 1 second 40 minus 35, 5 meter per second. That is, in this case, in every second the velocity of the motorcycle is increasing by 5 meter per second. It is here change in velocity in every second is 5 meter per second. Therefore, the acceleration is 5 meter per second square. Here the change in velocity per unit time is known as acceleration. In this case, the initial velocity was 20 meter per second, and after 5 second velocity is 45 meter per second. That is, change in velocity 45 minus 20, that is total change in velocity, total increase in velocity 45 minus 20, this is equal to 25. And here time for this change in velocity was 5 second, therefore time is 5 second. In 5 seconds change in velocity 25, in 1 second 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5 meter per second square. This is the acceleration in this case. Acceleration. The increase in velocity per unit time is called acceleration. That is, the rate of increase in velocity with time is called acceleration. Acceleration is equal to total increase in velocity divided by time, or acceleration is equal to final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. Unit of acceleration. We know acceleration is equal to total increase in velocity divided by time. Now unit of velocity is meter per second and unit of time is second. Therefore unit of acceleration is equal to meter per second divided by second. This is equal to meter divided by second into second. This is equal to meter divided by second square is equal to meter per second square. Now we will solve a mathematical problem related to acceleration. An object is moving with 30 meter per second velocity, and after 10 seconds its velocity becomes 60 meter per second. What is the acceleration? Here initial velocity and final velocity is given. We have to determine the acceleration. Here initial velocity is equal to 30 meter per second, and final velocity is equal to 60 meter per second, and time is equal to 10 second. Acceleration is equal to what? We know acceleration is equal to final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. Here final velocity is 60 meter per second and initial velocity is 30 meter per second, and here time is 10 second. Therefore, acceleration final velocity minus initial velocity, this is final velocity 60, initial velocity 30 divided by time 10 second. This is equal to 60 minus 30, 30 divided by 10. This is equal to 3 meter per second square. This is the answer. Now we will discuss about retardation. Suppose instead of pressing on the accelerator, the motorcycle driver pressed on the brake, then what will happen? In this case, the velocity of the motorcycle will be decreased. We know if we press on the brake of a vehicle, then its velocity will be decreased. Suppose the motorcycle was moving with 50 meter per second velocity. When pressed on the brake, then after 1 second its velocity becomes, after 1 second its velocity v is equal to 45 meter per second. Here initial velocity is 50 meter per second, after 1 second 45, after 2 second velocity is 40 meter per second, after 3 second velocity is equal to 35 meter per second. That is, in this case the velocity of the body is decreased with time. That is, when the velocity of a body will be decreased, then we will call it retardation, not acceleration. When the velocity will be increased, we call it acceleration, and when velocity is decreased, then it is retardation. That is, decrease in velocity per unit time is called retardation. Here the body has a retardation. Here retardation is 5 meter per second square, because in every second the velocity of the motorcycle was decreasing 5 meter per second. And retardation is also known as negative acceleration. It is also a acceleration, but it is negative acceleration. Positive acceleration means when the velocity of the body will be increased, but when the velocity of the body will be decreased, we will call it negative acceleration. That is, negative acceleration is the retardation, and retardation means negative acceleration. Retardation. The decrease in velocity per unit time is called retardation. That is, the rate of decrease in velocity with time is called retardation. Retardation is equal to total decrease in velocity divided by time, or retardation is equal to initial velocity minus final velocity divided by time. Retardation is known as negative acceleration. Its unit is also meter per second square. Homework. An object is moving with 80 meter per second velocity. After 12 seconds, its velocity becomes 20 meter per second. What is the retardation? My dear student, please try to solve this problem.